There's a creature living in our ocean right now that has a face that looks like it was designed by something from another world. Its head is almost entirely transparent, two tubular eyes that point straight up like periscopes, a body so minimally constructed that it barely registers as a physical form. But here's the thing, this creature isn't from another planet, it's from right here on Earth. It lives less than 1,000 meters beneath the waves, in an environment so extreme that everything in it has evolved to look fundamentally wrong to our eyes. The deep ocean doesn't just have strange creatures, it has creatures so adapted to their environment that they seem to violate every rule we think we know about what life should look like. And today, we're going to explore why the creatures down there are so alien that scientists had to fundamentally rethink what life actually is. Before we talk about what lives in the deep ocean, we need to understand what conditions those creatures are living in. Because the deep ocean isn't just different from the surface, it's so hostile that it seems like a separate planet entirely. Light is the first thing that disappears. In the sunlit zone, the surface 200 meters or so, sunlight penetrates. Photosynthesis happens. Energy flows into the ecosystem from the sun. But once you descend past that point, light becomes scarcer. By 1,000 meters deep, you've crossed into the midnight zone. There is no sunlight. Not a single photon from the sun reaches this depth. The darkness is absolute. It's the kind of darkness you've probably never experienced. Not the darkness of a night with no moon, but complete sensory deprivation darkness. At these depths, the pressure is crushing. At 1,000 meters, the weight of all that water above creates a pressure of about 100 times what you experience at sea level. Your body would collapse instantly. At 4,000 meters, it's 400 times atmospheric pressure. At the deepest parts of the ocean, the Mariana Trench at nearly 11,000 meters, the pressure is so extreme that it seems impossible anything could survive. Temperature drops near freezing. The deep ocean is cold. Not just cold, it hovers just a few degrees above freezing for most of its volume. This cold slows everything down. Chemical reactions move slower. Metabolism operates in slow motion. Everything in the deep ocean is living in a cold stupor compared to surface life. And then there's the scarcity. Food in the deep ocean is almost impossibly rare. Most energy comes from the rain of dead organisms falling from above. Occasionally, a whale dies and sinks to the bottom, creating what scientists call a whale fall, an oasis of food in an otherwise barren desert. These events create feeding frenzies that can last for years, but between them, weeks or months might pass with nothing falling from above. These four conditions, darkness, pressure, cold, and scarcity, have created an environment so extreme that life here has had to remake itself from the ground up. The creatures aren't just adapted to these conditions, they're adapted in ways that seem to fundamentally violate our understanding of biology, and that's where things get truly alien. In the twilight zone, between 200 and 1,000 meters, some faint light still penetrates from above. In this zone, being visible is a death sentence. Every silhouette against the faint light from above is a target, so evolution has created something we rarely see in nature: completely transparent animals. The barrel-eye fish is the most famous example. This small fish, about 15 centimeters long, has a head that's almost entirely made of transparent tissue. If you placed it in a tank in front of you, you could look directly through its head as if it were made of glass. Behind this transparent skull are two tubular eyes that point straight up, looking toward the faint light filtering down from above. Here's what makes the barrel eye truly remarkable. Its eyes can rotate. Most of the time, they point straight up, scanning for the silhouettes of prey against the dim light. But when the barrel eye spots something interesting, it can rotate its eyes forward to look directly ahead, allowing it to focus on and target specific prey. It's the optical equivalent of having a spotlight that can rotate to aim precisely at a target. But how do you maintain transparency in an environment where your body needs to function? How do you have organs, tissues, muscles, everything required to stay alive, but remain invisible? The answer involves a level of biological precision that seems almost impossible. Most tissues scatter light because different parts have different densities and refractive indices. Your skin, for example, isn't transparent because it contains proteins, water, lipids, and cells that all have different optical properties. When light hits this mixture, it bounces around instead of passing straight through, Transparent fish solve this problem through extreme specialization. They have minimal pigmentation. Their blood contains very little hemoglobin, the protein that makes blood red and absorbs light. In fact, some transparent fish have evolved blood so clear it's almost colorless. Their muscles contain very little pigment. Even their eyes have been specially modified. The dense lens, which would normally block light, is positioned oddly to the side rather than in front where it would be visible. Some transparent fish go even further. The glass squid is so transparent that it's virtually impossible to see except for specific features. It has a transparent body, transparent muscles, transparent organs. The only parts that aren't transparent are its digestive tract, which must be opaque to contain food, and its eyes. After the glass squid eats, the food inside its gut is briefly visible as a small dark shape moving through its otherwise invisible body. But once the food is digested and absorbed, the squid becomes transparent again, the evidence of its meal vanishing. What's remarkable about this adaptation is the energy cost. Maintaining this level of transparency requires constant biological work. These fish can't photosynthesize like plants. They have to hunt. Every calorie they eat has to be caught and consumed actively. And because they're almost completely invisible, they can't catch prey by accident through their gills like many filter feeders do. Every single meal is an active hunt. They've sacrificed the possibility of easy food for the advantage of invisibility. But transparency is just one way creatures solve the problem of darkness and predation. Others have chosen a completely different strategy. Instead of hiding, they produce their own light. In the absolute darkness of the midnight zone, about 90% of creatures produce their own light. They've evolved bioluminescence, the ability to create light through chemical reactions inside their bodies. This isn't just for show. It's a multi-purpose tool that's become essential to survival in the deep. The chemistry is elegant. Most bioluminescent creatures use a molecule called luciferin. When this molecule is oxidized in the presence of an enzyme called luciferase, it produces light. The color depends on the specific chemistry, but most creatures produce blue light, the wavelength that travels farthest through water. But some creatures have gone further. Some deep-sea fish have evolved the ability to produce red light. Red light travels through water poorly. Most deep-sea creatures can't see red, so why would you produce light that almost nothing can see? The answer is that some fish have evolved special pigments in their eyes that allow them to see red light. These fish are essentially speaking a private language. They produce red bioluminescence that only other creatures with similar eye adaptations can detect. Predators without this ability pass right by, unable to see the signal. It's communication happening in plain sight, invisible to almost everything around it. But bioluminescence serves multiple purposes. Some creatures use it to hunt. The anglerfish is the most famous example. The female anglerfish has a long filament extending from her head, and at the end of this filament dangles a glowing lure. This lure is filled with bioluminescent bacteria. She holds it in front of her enormous mouth and waits. When prey, attracted by the light, swims close enough, her mouth snaps shut. The lure is a fishing rod, and she's the angler sitting in the darkness, patient and still. Other creatures use bioluminescence for camouflage. The hatchetfish has a line of light-producing organs running along its belly. As it drifts upward toward the twilight zone where faint light still penetrates from above, these organs produce just enough light to match the glow from above. To a predator looking up from below, the hatchetfish disappears. It becomes invisible against the background. The same light that would make you visible from below instead renders you invisible. Some fish use their bioluminescence to communicate with each other. The lanternfish produces patterns of light along its sides that seem to serve as identification markers. In pitch darkness where individuals of the same species might never see each other visually, bioluminescence creates a silent language. It's a way of saying, I'm one of you, I'm not a threat, I'm potential food or a potential mate. But here's what makes bioluminescence even more fascinating. Many deep-sea creatures don't produce their own light directly. Instead, they farm bacteria. Inside specialized organs called photophores, they cultivate colonies of bioluminescent bacteria. These bacteria produce light as a byproduct of their own metabolism. The fish host them in exchange for a steady food supply. It's a symbiotic relationship. The fish gets light, the bacteria get fed, and a protected environment. both benefit. The fish essentially has living light bulbs inside its body. What makes this all work is the absolute darkness. Without the sun's energy cascading through the food web like it does on the surface, the deep ocean can't support traditional predator-prey relationships. Instead, bioluminescence creates a completely different ecosystem where light itself becomes currency. Light attracts prey. Light communicates identity. Light camouflages. In a world of complete darkness, light is everything. But even with transparency and bioluminescence, creatures still need to eat, and eating in the deep ocean requires some of the strangest adaptations in the natural world. In the deep ocean, finding food is so difficult that when you encounter prey, you can't miss. Evolution has created mouths so extreme they seem to break the laws of anatomy. The fang-toothed fish has teeth proportionally larger than any land predator. These teeth are so massive the jaw won't close completely. They're not for show, they're for precision killing. In the deep ocean, one chance is all you get. These teeth puncture and hold with mechanical certainty. Many deep-sea fish have skulls made almost entirely from cartilage rather than rigid bone. This allows their mouths to open at nearly 180 degrees, angles anatomically impossible for surface animals. The pelican eel exploits this completely, opening its mouth wide enough to consume prey nearly its own size, with inward-pointing teeth that form a one-way trap. The black swallower is even more extreme. At just 25 centimeters long, it swallows fish 3 times its size. Its stomach expands to accommodate prey far larger than itself. Then it becomes immobilized for weeks or months while digesting. It's vulnerable to any attack during this period, a calculated gamble that works because food is so scarce. The gulper eel takes a different approach. Its body is almost entirely mouth. When closed, it looks normal. When open, it transforms into a sac with a fin. It hunts passively, swimming through swarms with its mouth hanging open, catching everything that enters. These adaptations represent a fundamental shift in predation. Surface fish are active hunters. They chase. Deep-sea fish have abandoned this entirely. They're ambush predators or passive feeders. They've optimized not for speed, but for efficiency and scarcity. These extreme mouths only make sense in an environment where food is incredibly rare. But the adaptations extend far beyond just mouths. The entire body has been redesigned. Pressure is the first constraint. At depths over 1,000 meters, the pressure would crush a surface fish instantly, but deep-sea fish solve this by eliminating the problem. Many have lost their swim bladders entirely, or filled them with fluid instead of gas. Fluid doesn't compress. It maintains its volume under any pressure. The fish exists in equilibrium with the water, neither sinking nor floating. Other deep-sea fish are almost entirely gelatinous. The Dumbo squid, living below 4,000 meters, is almost pure soft tissue with almost no rigid structure. There's nothing to crush, there's nothing to break. The pressure simply compresses this gelatinous mass slightly, and the creature continues existing. Temperature is the next constraint. The deep ocean hovers just above freezing. At these temperatures, most life would slow to a crawl, but deep-sea creatures have evolved thermal tolerance. Their proteins and enzymes function optimally at near freezing temperatures. Where a surface fish's metabolism would nearly shut down in the cold, a deep-sea fish's continues normally. The strangest adaptation is metabolic. A surface fish eats several times daily and needs constant fuel. A deep-sea fish might eat once every few months. Deep-sea fish have lower metabolic rates overall. They're less active. They minimize movement. Their muscles are structurally different too. Less white muscle tissue for speed, more red muscle tissue for slow, sustained contractions. The female anglerfish exemplifies this metabolic revolution. She hangs motionless with her lure dangling. She doesn't hunt actively. Her entire metabolism is calibrated for sedentary existence. When she eats, she digests it for weeks at minimal energy expenditure. She's abandoned active predation in favor of maximum efficiency through minimum activity. Some deep-sea creatures have adapted so completely to their specific environment that they're locked into their ecological niche. They couldn't survive anywhere else. The barrel-eye fish, with its transparent head and tubular eyes pointing upward, is optimized for one strategy: drifting in the twilight zone looking up at prey silhouettes. It can't survive in deeper darkness or shallower waters. It's locked into its zone. The spookfish has taken transparency further. Its brain is visible, eyes positioned at the sides for 360-degree vision. It's specialized completely for hunting small prey while remaining invisible. The fang-toothed fish has specialized differently. Its entire body is optimized for catching large prey with precision. Everything is built for that single goal. The gulper eel has specialized for passive feeding. Its entire body is essentially mouth and stomach. But perhaps the most extreme is the male anglerfish. He starts as an independent creature, but when he finds a female in the vast darkness, he bites onto her and literally fuses with her. Blood vessels merge, tissues combine. He loses his eyes, his fins, his mobility. He becomes a permanent appendage, essentially a sperm-producing organ she carries forever. It's not parasitism, it's not normal reproduction, it's the ultimate specialization. He's abandoned his entire independent existence for one purpose. The sea pig represents extreme specialization in another direction. It's almost entirely a soft bag with barely any muscle. It crawls along the ocean floor eating organic debris. It doesn't hunt. It barely moves. It might be the most energy-efficient large animal in the world. These specializations are so extreme they seem to violate common sense. Why would evolution create creatures so locked into niches that any environmental change would be catastrophic? The answer is stability. The deep ocean has remained unchanged for millions of years. No ice ages, no seasonal shifts, no boom and bust prey populations. The conditions are stable, and evolution has created creatures that assume this stability will continue forever. The deep ocean is fundamentally alien, not because of what it has, but because of what it lacks. Sunlight, variation, and the constant pressure of change that drives surface evolution. On the surface, life is in constant flux. Seasons change, prey populations boom and bust. Predators evolve in response to prey, and prey evolve in response to predators. Life at the surface has evolved to be flexible and adaptable. The deep ocean is the opposite. It's been stable for millions of years. Temperature doesn't change. Pressure doesn't change. Darkness is constant. Scarcity is predictable. There's no need for flexibility or backup strategies. Evolution has created creatures so perfectly specialized for their specific environment that they're locked in time. This is why deep-sea creatures look so alien. They're not adapting to change, they're adapting to stability. They've had millions of years to perfect their existence in these exact conditions. They've optimized every aspect of their biology for these circumstances. They've removed everything unnecessary and amplified everything required. If you brought a barrel eye to the surface, the pressure holding its body together would be gone. If you brought an anglerfish to the surface, she would be crushed by her own weight. If you brought a fang-toothed fish to the surface, the energy cost of maintaining its specialized apparatus in a different environment would be catastrophic. These creatures aren't misfits or failures. They're perfect solutions to an extreme problem. The problem is, how do you survive in complete darkness, crushing pressure, near freezing temperatures, and desperate scarcity? The answer is, you change everything. Your appearance, your metabolism, how you hunt, how you reproduce, what your body is made of. The deep ocean isn't full of alien-like creatures because something went wrong. It's full of them because evolution has had millions of years to solve an impossible problem, and the solutions are so extreme, so specialized, so perfectly adapted that they violate our understanding of what life should look like. These creatures are more successful in their environment than any surface animal is in its environment. The barrel eye is perfectly suited for the twilight zone. The fangtooth is perfectly suited for the midnight zone. The anglerfish is perfectly suited for reproducing where meeting a mate seems impossible. We call them alien because they're different from us, but they're not failures or mistakes. They're masterpieces of evolutionary engineering. Proof that life can survive in conditions we thought impossible. Proof that evolution will find solutions to any problem, no matter how extreme. The deep sea teaches us something fundamental. Life adapts. When faced with conditions that seem impossible, life transforms into forms that seem to defy the laws of biology. The transparent barrel eyes, the bioluminescent anglerfish, the elastic-mouthed black swallowers, they're all solutions to the same question. How do you survive when everything is dark, cold, pressurized, and scarce? The deep ocean isn't a wasteland. It's full of life. Trillions of creatures, each one adapted perfectly to its specific niche, each one solving the deep sea problem in a different way. If you ever doubted that life is adaptable or that evolution is powerful, look to the deep ocean. Everything you find there is proof that life will find a way in the most hostile environments imaginable. The creatures of the deep are alien because they're successful in conditions where success seems impossible. And that makes them some of the most remarkable creatures on Earth. If you want to keep exploring the strange science of the natural world, I'd love for you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.